I have Wolfgang Kandek with me. Wolfgang, can you just introduce yourself to the viewers?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Wolfgang Kandek. I'm the Chief Technical Officer for Qualys. Qualys is a vulnerability management company at its core, meaning we provide a service that probes machines through the network and figures out what kind of flaws are on those machines. We call them vulnerabilities. And we try to help you with the patching of these vulnerabilities and to make them go away as quickly as possible.
Now, we've been looking at the laws of vulnerability, which is based on some of Wolfgang's research, and we've covered half-life and exploitation. We're now going to cover the last two.
Okay.
And just remind me, they're prevalence?
Prevalence and persistence.
And persistence.
I think prevalence is very intuitive law, actually. We're measuring the top 20 critical vulnerabilities that our customers typically find, and we are looking into how quickly they get cycled out, so meaning more important, more prevalent vulnerabilities appear. So currently for 2008, we had a renewal rate of 60%. So in January, we started with a set of 20. In December, we had a slightly different set of 20, and 12 of them had changed, and which is what you would want. You want, theoretically, every month new vulnerabilities, because that means you did a good job on dealing with the old vulnerabilities.
But actually, I don't want any vulnerabilities.
Well, that's that's a good point. But unfortunately, we have maybe probably roughly 20 vulnerabilities published every day. So you're thinking about a universe of hundreds of vulnerabilities per month that come out for many different softwares. Does not mean that you have them. You might not have these softwares. But Microsoft published 21 patches to 21 vulnerabilities in their last bulletin in April. So that means you have them if you use Windows software and Office software in your network.
So are you saying that in any one time, my company will always have 20 vulnerabilities? Roughly. I know some will have 2.
Yeah, I think the number is probably higher. We were just looking at the top 20. And what we're saying with prevalence is actually that some of them are not being addressed, because if I have a vulnerability in January, that makes my top 20 list. And in November or December, it's still on my top 20 list. That means that people are not addressing it. We've seen it for Microsoft Office, we've seen it for Adobe Acrobat, we've seen it for Sun Java, and we've seen it for Windows 2003 Server, that certain vulnerabilities apparently are flying under the radar, so to speak, of the IT administrators, and they're not going away.
But why is it? How can they fly under the radar? I mean, if I've had this vulnerability and it's in the top 20, why wouldn't an IT administrator sort it out?
I believe it's a matter of focus. So people are significantly conscious of the vulnerabilities on the operating system level, and they tend to forget that applications are a major attack vector. I think Adobe Acrobat Reader is a great example. It's a very software that almost everybody has, because the file format PDF is very widely used, and it's the obvious tool to download. There was a vulnerability, a flaw was found in February of this year. It was a 0-day because it was published. There was no patch for it. Patch took Adobe roughly 3 weeks to come out with. And I just graphed it yesterday again, how it's developing, and there's no patching done at all. That means when it first came out, we detected 20,000 occurrences of it in our normal scans, and we still detect 20,000. So that means IT administrators do not see it, they do not apply the patch. It's not in their field of attention somehow.
Now, if I can just rephrase that, you're essentially, our IT or our security guys are focusing on operating system and perhaps even infrastructural patches such as Cisco routers and so on. And what they're forgetting about is that many of the non-executable files, and many of them which are just data files, PDFs, XLS, DOC files, even PowerPoint was attacked recently. Mm-hmm. They forget that they've got their own internal active scripting languages which are being used as the attack vectors. Mm-hmm. Is that what we're saying?
That is absolutely right, yeah.
Right. So how can we, we're going to make them more aware of this from this videocast, but is there anything else that can be done to help say, hey guys, 100,000 pieces of malware being produced every month, a lot of them are going for these data files?
I agree. I think the main thing we have to do is an outreach in terms of press and information, because the tools exist. We monitor this. The patching tools don't have a problem in patching Adobe Acrobat. They are perfectly capable of doing this. So I think the technical infrastructure is there. It's a matter of attention. But it is quite possible that IT administrators are overworked already. So don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing them in that sense. I'm saying it's important that we pay attention to these things because they constitute major attack vectors. It's very simple for an attacker to get you a PDF file that is infected. And like you pointed out, there's a scripting language in there, and it infects the underlying operating system then through various mechanisms, even by things as simple as touching the file. I've seen there's videos on YouTube, maybe that's a good mechanism, that show you that you just by hovering over the PDF icon, the machine can become infected.
Tell us about the last vulnerability.
Persistence, so we're graphing out the lifespan of these vulnerabilities, and some of them, or the majority of them actually, that we found out in research, just don't want to die. So you find them very prevalent at the beginning and they go down, but then they linger around in the 10% range of the number of that they were originally found. And it's not quite understandable why this would actually happen. Why don't we completely eradicate them? And we think it has to do with new machines coming on board. You mentioned before images. So if I image a new machine and I never fix that image, I basically revive that vulnerability. I know that IT admins have to deal with mergers and acquisitions. Large number of machines come into the network and they're not necessarily as well managed as the original machines. So that's kind of the mechanism that we have to explain this phenomenon that vulnerabilities continue to live apparently forever.
Do you think restore points also cause persistence? So if I restore my computer to a certain point and that had the vulnerability at the time, then it kind of undoes the work?
I think that is probably right. I do not know how many people use restore points, but that would also be certainly an effect of that.
Right. Wolfgang, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ben.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Chai. I'm the editor for securityvibes.com. If you've enjoyed this video or have any other comments to make, please do fill in the comment boxes and let us know what you think. Thank you.